Okay, so we're here today with Isabelle Meyers from the International Client Services team here at Tang and Partners law firm, and she's going to give us some insights into some areas that foreign businesses should know before they enter the China market. So Isabelle, if I wanted to start a business here, what advice would you give me?
Well, John, the best advice I could give would be to know before you go. In the West, it's fairly standard to predict the market by looking at what businesses will do. In China, in order to predict the market, you have to look at what the government will do. So while you have to understand what the Chinese consumer wants, you also have to understand what the Chinese government wants.
So what does the government want then?
You can look at their 5-year plan to understand what they want. This is basically a wish list that the Chinese government wants to accomplish. The top 3 things on this list would be turning their economy from a export-based one to a consumer-based one, increasing environmental efficiency, as well as dealing with pollution issues.
Okay, interesting. So I know the type of business I want to start. What is the first step?
You have to choose what kind of entity you want to be.
Okay, so why don't you take us through some of the different entities that I can choose from?
I'd be happy to. The 3 most common kinds of entities are your joint ventures, representative offices, and the WFOE, wholly foreign-owned enterprise. The joint venture seems like a safe and easy route, but experts say it often fails because of a same bed, different dream syndrome. And what happens is you find a local Chinese partner, and often there's a conflict of interest. So if you do decide to go down this route, it's crucial to find a great partner. Another low cost and quick option is the representative office. This just represents your offshore entity and really limits your scope of service. So you can't generate revenue, but if you're just looking to build brand awareness, then this is a good option. The last option is the WFOE, and this takes the longest to be approved by the government, but gives you the maximum control over your company and maximizes your scope of service.
Okay, well, all that sounds quite involved. Can you take us through some of the costs that we might incur in establishing one of these corporate structures?
Yes, it depends on what entity you choose, but if you were going to do a consulting WFOE, you'd be looking at around 100,000 renminbi, and this can be paid in 2 years maximum installments, and there's an upfront fee of about 15 to 30%. However, that 100,000 does not cover your staffing, and it does not cover your lease. It's just your registered capital.
Registered capital will start the business. Okay, so I know what entity I want. What is the next step?
You have to make an awesome business plan. And the reason this is so important is because the government holds you responsible to follow it. So if you stray outside your scope of business, you risk being shut down. So it's important to be a little vague to give yourself some wiggle room, but you also need to be specific.
Okay, business plan tick. What then?
You have to find an office because you have to prove your lease to the Chinese government.
Okay, I'm ready to open up shop. What do I do now?
Hold on. You also need a corporate lawyer who can help you organize your documents and deal with any wild cards that generally do come up with the Chinese government. Tang and Partners is ideal because we have a international service center that act as legal consultants, and we also have the Chinese lawyers that can represent you in court.
Great. So just finally, Isabelle, maybe you could give us some insight into an area that a foreign business really might not be aware of when they enter the Chinese market.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a common perception in the West that labor is still fairly inexpensive and unregulated here, but in fact the opposite is true. With the new labor laws, the Chinese government is looking to crack down, especially on foreign businesses that try to get around the labor laws.
Okay, very interesting. Thanks very much, Isabelle, for giving us some insights into some areas that foreign businesses should be aware of before they enter China.
My pleasure, John.